I'm Gail Sherman and I own Wine Lovers Travel. And today I want to show you the haul of wine that I brought back from my recent trip to Australia. And I'm so excited because I was able to put it in my new VinGardeValise, which is this cool suitcase that you bring on the plane empty and you bring it back with up to a case of wine. What I love about it also is that aside from it's lovely, you see I have the burgundy color, they even personalized it for me. It's great because you can put 12 bottles of wine, you can put 6 bottles and use the other half for your clothing. It's sturdy and I've already checked it out and all my wine came back perfectly. The other thing too that I like is that when I travel, I often go to wine regions internationally to these little tiny wineries that don't have distribution in the US. So if I love a wine and I want to bring it home with me, what do? Well, in the past, I put it in my checked baggage in stuffed with dirty laundry, or sometimes I took those bubble wrap wine sleeves, but this is even better. So, and then the last thing I want to say to you is that wine is such a perfect souvenir because you have it, you open up that bottle, it brings back all the great memories of wherever it is that you bought it, and it's like the perfect souvenir. So let's see what souvenirs I brought back from Australia. Gonna put that down and open it. And of course I have to turn it around because I didn't plan real carefully, but that's okay. And here we go. Maybe here we go. And they make sure that they've given you a lot of padding so that your wine is really secure. So there's this piece of styrofoam that they give you in between the layers. And if you can see right here, it's got some zipper pockets, and that's assuming that you want to use half of it for clothing and toiletries and that kind of thing. And in this case, I filled it up with wine. So let's start with the first side. So I pull that open. Again, you have straps, which are great to hold it in. And then you have this other piece of firm styrofoam that has a bar in it, again, to keep it safe. And look all my wine. So let's see what we have here. And because I was in Australia, as you may know, Australia uses screw tops for their wine. So no corks, and makes it that much easier to open and drink. So first one is from Pressing Matters. And I remember Pressing Matters. This was from Tasmania in an area called the Coal River Valley. And what I loved about this winery was that it was sort of a newer winery, and they really knew their winemaking. They hold wine, they don't release it real early. And as an example, this is a 2011 Pinot Noir. Hard to find that at home. So there's Pressing Matters. Let's see what else I have. Well, I loved it so much I got a second bottle, another 2011 Pressing Matters. And next, more Pressing Matters. Now this is interesting because this is what's called a texture Riesling. And Riesling is actually quite big in Tasmania. And if you think you know Riesling, you haven't had Riesling until you've been to Tasmania and tasted theirs. It's not sweet, it's not fruity, it's dry, it's crisp, it is delicious. It would be perfect with anything from oysters and seafood, even certain cheeses, certainly any kind of spicy food if you're eating Chinese food or Indian food or Thai food. Perfect choice. And texture Riesling has to do with the way it was made, so that it has an extra complexity to it that you don't find in your typical Rieslings. So there's more Pressing Matters. And let's see. Then another Riesling, and this one is from one of the more famous wineries there called Stefano Ljubljana. Now that doesn't sound very Australian. In fact, it sounds Italian, and in fact they were. And if you go with Ljubljana, that's actually an Italian spelling for Ljubljana, Slovenia. So originally the family, that's where they were from, which is right next to Italy. But this is another example of a Riesling. And we were in the tasting room and with, I think, their daughter. And she explained to us the whole family history and how great it was to be in the winemaking business, and we loved their Riesling. After the fact, in asking people about which other wineries we should visit while we were in Tasmania, everybody was talking about Stefano Ljubljana, so we were quite lucky that we had a chance to go there. And let's see, now we're back in South Australia and into the Barossa. This is Seppeltsfield, and this is called the Westing. It is a single vineyard Shiraz. They're still calling their wine Shiraz, although some of them are getting into calling it Syrah like we do in the US and also like they do in Europe. They're claiming that they're made slightly differently, but I don't know. I think it's the same grape. It's the Syrah Shiraz grape. But what Seppeltsfield is particularly known for, aside from making some delicious wines, is port. And they have been in the business for over 100 years, and they have 100-year-old port, which we had the privilege of tasting. I don't think they sell it because port evaporates over time, and I think that it would be, if they were selling it, it would be gone. But the other thing that they do is they retain a certain quantity of port from every year that they produce it. So another opportunity there is to taste port from the year of your birth. And you go into the room and they have barrels labeled from current, from the most recent release, which was probably a couple of years ago, all the way back to early 1900s. And I didn't taste the year of my birth, but they did have it for sale. It would have cost me 13,000 Australian dollars. So I said, well, no, maybe not. But anyhow, Seppeltsfield was really fun, and they had a really good tasting room. And see, this is the whole beauty of bringing back wine, because you remember the stories, you remember the fun you had. And when we open these and drink them, it'll be that much more exciting. Now here is another one, and this one actually is not from Australia, but it is from Brecken Estate from Paso Robles, California. Brecken was actually the host of this wine trip. And they brought bottles for everybody on the trip, and this is their Meritage, which was absolutely delicious because they poured some in addition. So I was going to stop at 6, but let's keep going. So let's open up the other side and see what other treasures I brought home with me. And see, there's more straps and another piece of heavy-duty foam, and we have more. So we have, let's see here. This was from Maxwell, and Maxwell is another very well-known winery in South Australia. This one from McLaren Vale. In South Australia, if you haven't been there, I can share with you that there are several major wine growing areas. People tend to know Barossa Valley, which is where Seppeltsfield is. There's also McLaren Vale, there's Adelaide Hills. Way up in the north of South Australia is Clear Valley, which we did not have time to get to. And then they even grow wine on Kangaroo Island, which is an island just off South Australia, which is considered part of Australia. So this is Silver Hammer and another Shiraz. This one from McLaren Vale. Ooh, more Seppeltsfield. This is their Grenache Rosé. I'm sort of picky about rosé, actually. And a lot of rosé is made with Grenache. We've tasted others made with all kinds of other grapes, including Shiraz. But this one was dry with fruit, but not too fruit forward, but it was dry and refreshing. It seems like on a nice summer day, having this chill, just sitting out back and with a glass of rosé, maybe some cheese and crackers would be just delicious. Okay. And here we have the Disruptor. And it says every family has one. And there's a sheep on here. And let's see, I don't even remember where this is from. This is from Hugh Hamilton Wines. This is a very small boutique winery. Really fun. We had a lovely tasting there. And the sheep is their symbol. And this one is a, let's see here, 185 years of family winemaking. And they said that on their label they say, "We are Australia's oldest surviving wine family with a black sheep spirit. We take traditions, then bend, prune, and graft them to create exciting wines for black sheep like you." I love it. And here we go. So here is black sheep, and it is obviously red, probably Shiraz, but honestly, I don't remember. So here is the granddaddy from Australia, and this is Penfolds. If you've never been to Australia, you probably still have seen Penfolds. This is bin 311. Penfolds is, I don't know if they're older than Hugh Hamilton or not. They're probably the same vintage, started in the late 1880s actually, and then moved forward. And this was this wine, the first vintage of it was in 2005, and this vintage is 2023, and it's a Chardonnay. And Chardonnay isn't that common in South Australia because it's a warm climate, and they typically make reds and warm climate wines, but they did grow this Chardonnay, and it was quite lovely. And that's surprising for me because I'm not much of a Chard fan, but we enjoyed this quite a bit. The one wine we did not buy from Penfolds is their Grange, and if you know about Grange, you know that that is an extremely expensive wine, and it goes back to the 1970s, I believe. And today, if you were to buy the most recent vintage of Grange, it would probably set you back about $1,000, and that's US dollars, not Australian dollars. But Penfolds was great, and it was very historic, and we got to see where the family lived originally, their house and their artifacts, and it was a lot of fun. And another fun winery is Molly Duker, which is, and this one's called Two Left Feet, and this is a blend of Shiraz, Cabernet, and Merlot. And what I love about Molly Duker is it was started by a husband and wife, but she was the winemaker. When I first heard the name, I thought, who's Molly Duker? Well, it turns out it's not who is Molly Duker, but what is Molly Duker? And it means, it's Australian slang for left-handed, because she's left-handed, and so that's how they came up with the name of the winery. It's and it's an interesting story with them because their company was going under quickly, and then Robert Parker, the infamous Robert Parker from Wine Spectator, the wine reviewer, he came over I can't remember now, either he came over there or they brought their wine to the United States, and he gave them really high ratings and loved it. I think that he became a friend of Sarah's, and he sort of helped them to resurrect the winery. And it's a fun winery. Is it the best wine in the world? Well, you be the judge, but it's a lot of fun, good tasting room. And if you have a chance to go to a tasting, because they do have a North America rep who does come around to different wine shops. He was here in California last year. So go see them, they're great. And last but not least is another Maxwell. And this one is a GSM from McLaren Vale, and I'm sure, because you're all wine lovers, you know GSM is Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. It is a Rhone varietal, Rhone bean from France, but they have the grapes in Australia to be able to grow it. In fact, they don't call it Mourvedre, they call it Mataro. Same grape, different name. And again, we went to the tasting room and tasted it, and it was delicious, and so we had to have it. So look at that, a dozen bottles. And little secret, we went to another winery in Yarra Valley in the state of Victoria, and we bought a whole other case. But since I didn't have another suitcase, I had to have it shipped. So that won't come until sometime in February or March of 2025. But there you have it. That is my VinGardeValise. These are my wines. And if you are interested in acquiring a VinGardeValise, Wine Lovers Travel does have a discount code with them. It's WineLovers20, number 20. And if you go on their website at VinGardeValise.com and order a suitcase. This is the largest one. They have smaller ones as well, as few as I think 4 bottles, and they even have something that's good for a picnic. And they will give you a 20% discount on whatever the prevailing price is, even if it is a sale price. So get your own VinGardeValise so you can bring back memories. And I think I'm gonna have to, let's see here, which one do I want? One that doesn't need refrigeration. Maybe I'll start with my Maxwell GSM. So I'm gonna go drink a glass of wine, and till then, cheers to you all.